We now move on to our second leading story. This Wednesday in Ivory Coast, the African Union-European Union Summit takes place with the theme of investing in youth for a sustainable future. African and EU leaders will discuss the future of EU-Africa relations. About 83 heads of states representing 55 from Africa and 28 from European countries, as well as from the African Union and European Union commissions, are expected at the summit. Now, though the summit starts this Wednesday, discussions have already begun as a prelude to the official opening sessions.
Absolutely, Jerry.
That's correct, Jerry. As I said earlier on, since yesterday, the parliamentarians of the two continents are working on new avenues of cooperation between Africa and Europe. We're talking about rethinking the models of development in a general way. Without further ado, we are now joined by our special envoy to Abidjan, Nathalie Wakam, to try to understand what these meetings are all about. Good morning, Nathalie.
Bonjour, Nathalie.
Bonjour Hanan et bonjour à Gary également.
Alors Nathalie, vous êtes à Abidjan.
Nathalie, you're in Ivory Coast. So the issue of migration in regards to the recent footage showing migrants sold into slavery is obviously a topic that was discussed.
Une partie des débats, n'est-ce pas, de ces réunions auxquelles vous avez assisté?
Oui, tout à fait, Hanan. Disons que l'indignation...
That is correct, Hanan. The outrage following the publication of the video is beyond explanation. Taking the remarks made by the Ivorian Prime Minister during the EU-Africa Affairs Forum, he believes that the relationship between the two continents had reached a decisive turning point. The speech was also alarming on the part of the African and European members of parliament, who noted that the African European Union Summit is held at a time when the question of migration has come up. Here we're looking at the ill treatment of migrants contrary to human rights and the common values shared by the two regions. What is the interest in the different members to set up new options of legal migration, just as Zimbabwe's Tapiwa Mashakada explained to me?
As you know that migration is a very worrying development for Africa and Europe, especially because people are dying in the Mediterranean trying to cross for greener pastures in Europe. And why are people dying? And why is now immigration and migration turning into slave trade? It is because Africa and Europe have not sat down to develop legal pathways for immigrants to reach Europe. You see what they have done in Syria and Yemen. They have really legalized safe, orderly and regular migration. They have given quotas to Syrians. They have given quotas to Yemen's people. And Europe must give a quota of African immigrants so that they can cross to Europe using safe channels, using legal routes, rather than jumping into boats and other modes of transport across the Mediterranean, which are not safe. When you look at migration, you have to look at the source during transit and also the destination. So it's a global issue. That's why at the UN level, they are going to sit in 2018 to look at the new migration governance architecture, because it's not a one-way thing. It's a dual process. A one-way thing. It's a dual process.
Nathalie, during this summit, they also talked a lot about the need to review the Europe-Africa relations. Yes, it is necessary to pass, according to the members of the notion of aid to development and form a real partnership. This new agreement should respect a number of principles. Africa must be regarded as a whole and no longer distinguished between the countries of the Mediterranean and those of the rest of the continent. It would also be necessary, among other things, to base this new partnership and new agreement on the principle of joint responsibility in their conception and implementation. The declaration of parliamentarians contains 12 points, so there is a real willingness to want to change things, to define an ambitious and innovative framework for cooperation using the exact terms. But questions remain on the expected impact on the ground. For this partnership to be effective in the eyes of the people, it must bring concrete solutions to problems such as electrification in Africa, infrastructural investment, investment to the youth, what the usual programs of cooperation have had difficulty in finding success.
Voilà, merci.
Thank you very much, Nathalie, for all those details.
J'imagine que votre journée s'annonce bien pleine, bien remplie.
Bien évidemment, à partir de 6 heures déjà sur le pont pour éviter les nombreux embouteillages dans la ville d'Abidjan.
Ah oui, j'imagine que ça doit être très obstrué. Merci beaucoup, Nathalie.
Thank you very much, Nathalie.
Et nous continuerons bien évidemment.
And we'll still keep an eye on all the developments at this forum, the EU-AU summit that will officially kick off tomorrow in Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire.
À Abidjan, en Côte d'Ivoire.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much, Nathalie Wakam.